Hello, scholars. This is Marge from Cheetah, here to share with you how Cheetah study plans work. The main goal is for you to get better results on your exams with less effort and do it a lot quicker. So let's get into this. The first thing is we're going to look at the 3 things that happen to create your Cheetah study plans. Number 1, it's all about you and your exam and the setup. So we're going to require some information from you, but not to worry, we're going to tell you how to get it. The next step is the Cheetah Study Plan app. Takes all of that information and it creates your customized accelerated exam prep study plan. So let's talk a little bit about the setup. What do we need from you to create your accelerated exam prep plan? We need to know your exam duration. How long is your exam going to be? Sometimes it's easy to find that out. We've been doing the Project Management Professional exam for several decades now, and we know that that exam duration is 4 hours. The next is, when is the date of your exam? Now, sometimes you can schedule your exam so you can specify the date. Other times you have the date told to you, like if you're doing a final exam for a class or if you're taking a certification exam that has a very special date associated with it. The next is how many hours a day you can study, and the app helps you figure this out if you do not know ahead of time. And then the last one is exam topics. What is going to be on your exam? Now, the rule of thumb, because we've been doing this for 3 decades, is that there's 3 topics for every exam hour. So if in the Project Management Professional exam, there are 4 hours of an exam, so there are 12 exam topics. And with those topics, we need to know your proficiency level. So we have 5 levels. We have Advanced Ninja. That means you're really good at this topic. Ninja, you're an advanced intermediate. Mortal, you know like more about your average bear. Remedial, you don't know that much. And Clueless, you have no clue about this topic. So you specify that. And when you give us all of this information, it goes through the Cheetah Study Plan app and it pops out your study plan. Now, I want you to remember Ben Franklin's statement that when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So just by creating an accelerated exam prep study plan and following it, you're going to do far better on your exam. So let's get into this. You may have other questions, so here are some questions that people commonly ask about the Cheetah study plan, and we will work on answering them. So the first question is, how much is related to money? How much does this cost? It's free to try the basic version for 3 days. Then we charge $19.95 per hour of exam, which makes sense because the longer your exam is, the more you're going to be studying, the longer you're going to be using our system. So if you have a 2-hour exam, this will cost you $39.90 to use. So you might be wondering, well, why do I want to pay for this if I can get it free for 3 days? Well, because we do have reminders, but we also have many other things in the paid version. So let's talk about accelerated exam prep, which we teach you how to do in the paid version. You'll get the schedule in the free version, but you don't get all of the tips and tricks and techniques in the free version. The paid version, they come in. So let's talk about accelerated exam prep. So there is the first part, reducing hurdles. Now, I'm short, so let's talk about hurdles on a racetrack. If I saw a bunch of yoga blocks that I had to jump over while I was running around a racetrack, that would slow me down. If I saw regular hurdles that were about half the height of me that I had to get over while I was going to be running around the racetrack, I would probably just pack it up and go home and binge watch Netflix, okay? So if your hurdles are too high, this is why people procrastinate on exams. It's a sign that the hurdles are too high for them to study. So the number one thing we do is reducing hurdles. And we do this in the pre-course prep, the pre-study prep that we have you do before you even start studying is to reduce your hurdles. So let's talk about what some of the common hurdles are. Number one is information overload. And like if you have an 800-page textbook, oh my gosh, that is daunting. Information overload, which then creates anxiety. And a lot of people, I'd say we've been doing this for decades. And I always ask people, how many of you have exam anxiety? And at least 90% of people raise their hand. So if you have exam anxiety, don't think that this is anything unusual. A lot of people have exam anxiety. And then the next one is distractions. Distractions are all over the place. And so we work a lot in getting this set up so you reduce the impact of distraction. So there's 3 things these actually feed on each other to increase the hurdles for studying for exams: information overload, anxiety, and distractions. And the Cheetah study plan is set up to significantly reduce and eliminate many of these hurdles. So most people say after they've gone through Cheetah's PMP program, so what we do is we take 200 pieces of reference material. If it takes most people 6 months to a year to study for this exam, and we help them do it in 4 days. And one of the big things we do is we reduce their hurdles so that they're no longer trying to run around this racetrack with hurdles that are at least as tall as them. So reducing the hurdles is the number one thing we do to accelerate people's exam prep. And then there's the second thing that we do, which is we have tools to speed up the learning process. And this is where the accelerated learning comes in. And we have tools, and that all these tools are included in the paid version. So we have tools to help with absorbing and synthesizing new information very quickly. And then retaining that information is critical, and applying it is very important. So one of the things we've done, because we've been creating accelerated exam prep content for decades, is we went in, we did a deep dive into AI, and we figured out how do we create these same tools for any exam. So in the paid version, you get these tools to speed up your learning process that use custom AI tools that we have created. So that's accelerated exam prep. Now, accelerated learning has been around for a very long time. Accelerated exam prep is something that Cheetah Learning has pioneered, and we've proven our techniques work over the past several decades. Studying for exams is a very different animal than just regular learning. And so the tools that we have created are specifically to accelerate exam prep. So let's talk about needing help with the setup. We're asking you for a lot of information in the setup, and you might not know where to go to get some of that information. So we're going to help you here in this section. So one of the first things is exam topics. We have a 4-hour exam. I have to come up with 12 topics. Where am I going to find that information about the topics? So here we're going to give you some ideas. If you're taking a final exam, the course syllabus is usually a pretty good place. The textbook, table of contents, is a good place to find exam topics. If you've gotten any exam prep material, the table of contents is also a good place to get exam topics. And the exam content outline. So testing bodies that are giving the test, like let's say you're taking the Series 7 or the real estate licensing exam, these testing bodies will have exam content outlines, and you can go look at those to get an idea for exam topics. So what to study about those topics? Well, where you're going to find them, you're going to find also the content to study. So the course textbooks, the exam prep references you've selected. And we also have AI tools in the paid version to develop content for any exam. However, we put a caveat in there, and AI always has this caveat: please make sure you check. So make sure you check on your any AI tools you're using to create content that is going to actually cover what you need to be covering. We recommend course textbooks and exam prep references first, The AI tools are secondary. And how many hours a day to study? Well, there's a lot of dependencies here. First, it depends on when your exam is. If your exam is in the next couple of weeks and it's a big exam, you may have to dedicate many hours a day to studying. It depends on your proficiency with the exam content. Obviously, the advanced ninjas who know the exam content well aren't going to have to spend as long studying as someone who's clueless. It depends on your learning strength. Some people are naturally better at learning the learning styles required for exams than others. And it's also going to be adjusted based on your input. So the Cheetah Study Plan app adjusts how many hours a day to study. So if you don't put in enough hours a day, the app will come back and tell you, you either need to move your exam date out, or you're going to need to study more a day, and it will recommend how many hours a day to study based on your proficiency of the topics to meet your exam date. And the last question, when should I schedule my exam? So that's assuming you have a choice, right? So you might not have a choice because the exam date may already be scheduled for you, especially if you're taking a final. It depends on the amount of time you have to study. So if you can schedule your exam and you really only have 2 hours a day to study, you might want to move that exam out. We recommend that you schedule your exam immediately after you're done studying. And we really, in our students and our Cheetah students, we make them schedule their project management professional exam before they even start, because it prevents procrastination. But we're also helping them reduce hurdles so that we're reducing the anxiety, we're reducing the distractions, so we're reducing the information overload. So we want you scheduling your exam immediately after you're done studying, and it is best to do that before you start. So if you haven't allocated enough time again to studying, the Cheetah Study Plan will recommend changes. So if you got more questions, email us info@cheetahlearning.com or call us 844-800-4767 and give us a try. The first 3 days are free. You can get it all set up, cheetahstudyplan.com. You can see if it's for you. As an ending note, no cheetahs were forced to study in the making of this video.